on, everyone? Welcome into the Triple Play Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Today is Tuesday, September 26th. And fellas, we've officially made it to the end of the fantasy baseball season. That's 27 weeks, 189 days, 272,160 minutes of your blood, your sweat, and your tears. Setting lineups, reading daily news, identifying trends for gambling. It's all coming to an end. But perk up, guys, because we're all here to entertain you guys tonight for our last regular season episode. We got Marty Party, Doc, and Little Cheesecake in the house. First, I got to go to my guy, Marty Party. Tell us, you did how many teams this year total?
Ooh, I don't know. 8, I think, altogether, if you add them all up. Yeah.
Okay, so 8 teams. Give yourself a grade on a 1 to 10 scale of how you feel like you did cumulatively across all your fantasy leagues this season.
I think I'm flirting with a B+, A-. I'll say A-.
Okay, A-.
Yep, it was a good year.
Doc, what about you?
In the triple players wall.
Yeah, Beck. I think that's his last name.
So close to the golden cleats.
Yeah, that would have been crazy.
I won the league, though. I think that's like $450, so I'll take the league.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Doc, what about you?
I'm going to give myself a B. I grinded out the championship in our home league. I'm talking about stressing for 21 straight days, looking at all pitching matchups, which hitters have the most games coming up this week, who's hitting at the top of the lineups. I did not have the best team, but I think I grinded harder than anyone else. So I'll give myself an A+ for that. But the other leagues I checked out in July as soon as I moved and didn't have Wi-Fi for 3 days. And that's typically not like me. All of my NFBC teams, I don't think I fixed the rosters the last 2 months. So it evens out.
Dang, you didn't look at your rosters the last 2 months.
Yeah, I'm bad. I am a disgrace. I'm disappointed in myself. But I know that's not what I'm going to do next year.
Do you feel like you'll cut your leagues down next year?
To be honest, I was in 5 leagues, so I don't even think it was that much. I think it was just a lot of things kind of moving on. And once again, fantasy baseball is a game, but I don't use NFBC as much. And, sometimes too, it's just like you get home late on a Sunday, it's 9:15. You don't have time to do fab, then you don't have time to do fab, and you're kind of thrown off for the week. Yep. So I need to get in a better routine, and I think that's a takeaway for me.
What about you, LC?
So I had 8 leagues. 3 of them were best balls. I'm going to win 2 of those best balls. My other leagues, no, I had 9 leagues because the home league, I forgot to count that. The home league was not my best league. I ended up out of the playoffs in that. In my roto leagues, I think I'm improving in my roto, and as the season went on, I'm learning how to claw back in those leagues, and I've done that. Unfortunately, I still have a chance to cash in 3 of my roto leagues. I probably will only cash in 2 at the most, but I have an outside chance. Well, I have outside chance in the third to cash, and I have a chance to win in one of my leagues. But I was up by 5 points and in first place on Friday, and right now I'm down like 4.5 points. So the swing has gone against me in the last few days. And I have to, turn that swing back, or else I'm not going to get that league win. So I think on the whole, I'm going to grade myself a little hard on that. I'm like at a 6, I think, because I felt like my drafts could have been better and my pickups could have been better.
Shout out to you, LC, because you're the only one that actually did the exercise correctly. Because I said give yourself a grade on a 1 to 10 scale, and you actually gave me a number. The other ones,
you said grade yourself.
On a 1 to 10 scale.
I give myself, so
I'll give myself a 7.5.
8.9.
All right. And also shout out to Vinny. We did a total of 3 best ball drafts, and he won 2 of them.
Did he really? I was going to check that while we were talking.
He did. Vinny came out on a profit. I'm going to be so hyped for the underdog best ball drafts next year, just to take Vinny down.
We have a lot of
my own team. I'm not listening to you guys that said take Jacob deGrom.
We could go through all the ones you said to take, and I'm sure it wouldn't be good either.
I hope I can do them next year.
I
right?
don't know. I had a lot of Nick Castellanos shares.
Gambling stuff.
Yeah. We still have a lot of underdog money, I think. So we still can do a lot of best balls.
We might have to start best ball season back up in January.
We
Yeah,
did a triple play best ball. If you remember, I think in November,
December, yeah.
December. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm third in that. So
Mm-hmm.
What
That's
am
on
I?
Fantrax.
I forgot about that one. The fan tracks.
I forgot about it too.
I mean, it's fan tracks.
Enough said. Although I love what they're doing on the football side now because our guy Nick Scripp is leading their content over there, and he's transformed it. I think since they brought him on, so I will shout that out.
The
But-
last thing. I'm just hoping I can hold on to Glarf. If I can finish either second or third in Glarf, that's a good year. That's a
Yeah.
tough league.
Yeah, it is. And isn't Glarf the number one? The number one.
The number one Earth
this
League
year?
by far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our LC's Darf's right behind us, but it's a pretty sizable gap.
Yeah, I thought we had a chance to close it, but Glarf is they have just really skyrocketed the last few weeks and widened the gap. There's something like 400 points up on all the other leagues.
Jeez.
And we're in second place, and we're like 100 something points up on third place, and we have a sizable gap. And then there's like a big cluster. So, but they're 400 points ahead of us. So they're like almost 600 points ahead of most of the pack. So Glarf has been
And I'm close to finishing top 10 in the overall. So I'm hoping if I get top 10 in the Earth League, that's a good year as well. So you know what? I might move up to an A- by the end of this week. I'm hoping.
Stay on the edge of your seat, and we'll give Marty's grade on the next baseball.
Marty, is your 10-team league still rolling in the playoffs?
Man, I lost in the playoffs. I was first overall all year. I won by like 16 more categories, but man, my offense went ice cold. I had Trout. Obviously, he never came back. Pete Alonso, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm battling for third, and I'm winning right now. Coming in third, get my money back. Another place. Could be worse.
All right. Well, obviously, we all did a lot of baseball leagues this year, but we want to give you guys some advice for next season. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about our best and worst picks, our ads and drops that might have saved our season or we wish we could have back, our takeaways from the 2023 fantasy baseball season, and finally, hopefully, we'll get to the game of the week to finish out the show here. But starting out first, the best draft and worst, the best draft. Goodness gracious, I think I just made a spelling error on my show sheet. The best draft picks and your worst draft picks. So basically, you don't win your league at the draft, but you can lose it. And I want you guys to give me some draft picks across your leagues that you were proud of and some that you might potentially leave the audience with spitting out their adult beverage with how bad of a pick that was. So let's go reverse order here, starting with Little Cheesecake. Give us maybe a couple of your better draft picks across your leagues and some of the draft picks you wish you could take back.
Well, I'm going to start off by giving myself a pat on the back for heavily investing in Freddie Freeman in a few of my leagues. I mean, obviously, a first round draft pick is it's hard to go wrong, but I decided to do my KDS as like a back of the first round type, and I went heavy on Freddie Freeman, so I had him in like 3 or 4 of my leagues, and he's had a great season. So that's one I'd like to pat myself on the back for. A few of the things that I wish I could have back. I had a terrible Luis Severino pick in a league where I had a great draft strategy and I was executing it, and I went off of that strategy because I really thought Severino was going to have a bounce back season this year, and I wanted to be in on it. So I went off of draft strategy to just because I thought, I'm just going to take one pitcher here. And when you're in a 12-team draft and you have a tight strategy where if you veer off of it, your team really has a smaller window to get good. going off and getting someone who doesn't give you anything is a real kick in the pants. The other people I really like, I had Jorge Soler on a lot of teams, and he was a real good value. But those are some of the ones I really liked. Severino was the one who really, stuck in my mind all season as the one that I wish I could have that one back.
Yeah, I mean, he was incredibly disappointing this year. It was hard to predict. Maybe he wouldn't be back to his full self, or maybe he would be limited with, coming off of an injury, but he just looked dreadful and never really fully recovered. So, yeah, a tough call with Luis Severino, but obviously Freddie Freeman was a stone cold stud this year, as he usually is, and a great pick if you did, again, have towards a back end pick there, stabilizer for your team.
You can't take Luis Severino if he hurt you in previous years.
That's true. It scares you off of drafting him. Our buddy Z2 all saying trying to coach high school football and manage fantasy baseball teams late in the year was my worst move. I can speak of, because I don't coach high school football, but I'm a PE teacher, and I work with two guys that coach high school football right now, and it consumes their life. Like the amount of work they have to put in, not just on game days, but like throughout the week for practices and game planning. It's literally like a full-time job. So I can't imagine you also trying to manage your fantasy baseball team. Props to you, Toby. Doc, let's go to you next and talk about some of your hits and some of your misses when it came to your draft picks.
Yeah, so some of my hits, I'm looking at Nick Castellanos. I got him in a lot of leagues right now, already at a career high 106 RBIs with 5 games left. I look at the first draft we did, David and Marty in the Arizona Fall League, and I got him with pick 120.
Yeah, you won't get his jersey though.
Maybe I'll change that.
He won you the home league, and you won't get his jersey.
You know what? It's funny. That first day he had 3 strikeouts, and I was like, wow, he's going to be dead to me. And then he hits 3 homers in the next 2 days. So Nick Castellanos has really outperformed his ADP. He's somebody I had in almost every league of mine. I got a lot of Luis Castillo too, and he probably won't win the Cy Young, but it seems like he's going to be the runner-up. He's at 194.1 innings pitched, which is a career high for him. 14 wins, and it should honestly be higher, a 3.2 ERA. He's made 32 starts. He's probably been one of the most consistent starting pitchers. Got a lot of JD Martinez too. That was just for you, David. Had more than the 17.5 home runs.
What did he finish with?
JD Martinez right now.
You can keep talking. I'll look it up.
Okay. So JD Martinez was another great pick of mine. And I got Evan Phillips as a closer in a lot of late drafts. I know with Kenley Jansen gone, we kind of thought the bullpen would be up for grabs. Maybe it was Blake Trinan, maybe it was Bruce Gratterall. But Evan Phillips ended up having the majority of saves, and I feel like you didn't have to pay a premium for him this year. Gave you pretty good ratios.
Jeez, 31 homers, 98 RBIs, 273 batting average. I was so wrong about JD Martinez.
Yeah, you were.
I mean, he looked left for dead last year. He just was completely rejuvenated this year.
I'm telling you, it's going to the Dodgers.
Yeah. I mean, I will not discredit anybody that moves to the Dodgers now. I will give them the Dodgers bump very fairly now.
You know what? I'm not even going to say, Toby, that Jose Abreu was a bad pick, because he has 84 RBIs. He's hitting 270. He's really picked it up after the first 2 months. But David, you and I were both off on Hunter Brown, and he's somebody I got in a lot of leagues. He started out the first month great, but just killed your ratios the rest of the season. I think
he was great early on, and then he just faltered in the second half. He was dreadful, borderline unstartable. And if you started him in his last outing against Kansas City, which I know he was kind of a borderline, like, great matchup, do I trust him? He gave up 6 earned runs against the Royals. So he definitely, I think I'm sure that last outing will bury his ADP some.
Yeah. He might not be able to go 120 plus innings consistently, because it seems like he lost some velocity, that he was getting hit hard. He's giving up a lot of home runs, and that ties into Alek Manoah. I think that might have been one of the worst draft picks of all time this year.
Did you draft him though?
I took him in some of the DC 50s in the 4th and 5th round. So I don't think I overdrafted him, but I got a lot of shares of him. And Jordan Walker, I reached for a lot. I put a lot of money on Jordan Walker and Hunter Brown, both winning Rookie of the Year. And I kind of bought into the hype, and they did not perform nearly where I thought they would.
Walker came on a little bit down the stretch, but definitely not what people were expecting this year for sure. But Marty, let's go to you next. Your hits and your misses.
All right, let's start with the let's do the hits here. We'll start with the hits. Christian Yelich, number one on the Razzball Player Raters, finished as almost a $26 player, which made him more valuable than Fernando Tatis, Yordan Alvarez, Aaron Judge, Kyle Schwarber, and Randy Arozarena. And I got him in the 9th, 10th round of most 15-team leagues. So that was a huge one for me. Anthony Volpe in my DC 50s, he returned good value. Basically, he was as valuable as Jeremy Pena, who went like in the 8th round of most drafts, and you can get Volpe. I think I got him in the 27th round. So that was a good one for me. George Kirby, Nick Pivetta, Ha-Sung Kim, and I forgot who was on when we did the relief pitcher show, but whoever it was told me there's no way Trevor May is going to get a good amount of
like Greg Jewett. Greg Jewett's our guy.
Who was it?
It's probably Greg Jewett because he's our guy.
What does he know about? He's the best in the business. But I got that one right. Trevor May's had a great year. And then Blake Snell was huge. I got Blake Snell in a bunch of places. So that made life pretty easy from there. And then Merrill Kelly, like an unsung hero, I think, of a lot of leagues. Just solid. He returned like exactly what his value was. So that was really good there. Some bad ones, though. We got to go. Rowdy Tellez, absolutely brutal.
Mm-hmm.
I got him everywhere.
I feel like a lot of us liked him too. It wasn't even just you. I think I know LC was beating the drum for him.
I had him on a few teams. Dropped him pretty quick.
Yeah. Jeff Zimmerman posted a list of players that played through injury throughout the year, and he was one of them with his wrist. I would take a look at that list for your prep for next year. Willy Adames, I got him in the 7th round. That's not good. He was nowhere near that worth it. Josiah Gray, who I got basically free, but he was bad. Roenzi Contreras, I got him in the 17th round of a league, and Zach Eflin went in the 19th round, and Justin Steele was still on the board too. So that's when it really hurt. And I'll end it with that one because that one hurt enough.
Marty, I want to give you a shout out though, because a lot of times we're talking about players we drafted. But Marty made a nugget earlier in the offseason that CJ Cron would be playing less home games. And so I bet his under 90.5 RBIs, and that's going to clear very easily. So
you should be sharing that profit with Marty then, I guess.
No, gambling's illegal in Michigan.
That's true.
Not Venmo, though.
Feds on us.
Not Venmo. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even beat yourself up about Eflin because Eflin still was a good pick. He had a very solid season, finishing with a mid-3s ERA, double-digit wins. Very useful for where you got him. He was actually one of the few guys I hit on. This year was probably my worst in the last few years for fantasy baseball. Just a lot of my calls that I felt some of them were definitely bold, like calling Sean Manaea a great pick. Go ahead, Doc, smile.
No, he threw 7 innings, 0 earned against the Dodgers. And I was like, literally right after the season is over, he has his best outing.
Yeah, I bought really big into the team shift and wake that I thought
they
were going to do with him like they did with Logan Webb. And I thought that was going to transform his career at this point. Didn't work out. Nick Lodolo, I think, would have been a stone cold stud. Just injuries ended up derailing his season. Corey Seager, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I definitely was not alone in calling Corey Seager, but in every draft I tried to go pitcher, Corey Seager. That was my philosophy going into pretty much every draft I could do. Go pocket aces, Corey Seager. And as the reason why most of my teams finished anywhere from like 4th or 5th to like 10th. I didn't have any teams finish below that or higher than that this year. And that's because picking pitchers early ended up being a huge detriment to your team. Sandy Alcantara stunk. Corbin Burns was not nearly the Corbin Burns that you drafted. There were so many aces across the board. Aaron Nola was bad this year. I just start rattling in my head through all the just pitchers that were huge letdowns.
David, you hit on a couple. You were very high on Strider.
I was going to say Strider I had him as a top 3 pitcher. And I drafted Strider in every draft I could. If I could get him in the 2nd round.
I think you touted Joe Ryan pretty highly too.
I have to go back and listen. I don't think I did actually. I think I was the opposite actually. I was
Okay, you
pretty
got him in
against
our
Joe Ryan.
home league, and so I was basing it
I,
off
I
of
just
that.
wanted some shares of Joe Ryan, but I wouldn't. I say I touted Joe Ryan. But Toby does put a comment in here. Did anyone see Justin Steele coming? I'll defer to the Cubs fan first on this one.
I mean, I really thought Hayden Wesneski was going to be the Cubs' breakout pitcher this year, and he was not. Wesneski, the Cubs' breakout pitcher this year. Steele was someone who had a very strong close to last season. I thought that there were signs that he got a little lucky. Clearly, I was wrong. He was there for anyone. He was like past pick 250. So clearly, we all could have gotten him in most of our drafts. But there were people who saw him. It was not me. I didn't think he was the guy. I was drafting Wesneski. Yeah.
So it was Vinny, as a
Yeah.
fellow Cubs fan himself, was also touting Wesneski. And to be honest with you, I remember a tweet from Michael Simeone, SP streamer, when Justin Steele was finishing the year last year. He pretty much just increased his slider usage, and once he just basically featured his slider, he turned into a whole new pitcher, and that was kind of carried over into this season. He's going to finish the year. He just pitched today, and I believe he was through 5 last time I checked. Scoreless against the Braves. I think he did give up some runs. I'm pulling it up right now. He
Well, you
went.
pulled up. I was gonna say I got one share of them at the FPAS draft in the 20th round. So my pitching was incredible. Unfortunately, my hitting barely got double digits in points over the entire year. So
He did finish the year with a 3.06 ERA. He gave up 3 earned runs in 5.1 innings against the best lineup in baseball. But still, you'll take a 3 ERA, 17 wins, I believe, on the season, and just a phenomenal pitcher this year for Justin Steele. We'll see what the Cubs do next year with him, with Nesky. They got some interesting guys there for sure. But let's move into the next part of the show that we're going to talk about. And that's the ads and drops. And you know that feeling when you pick up Aaron Judge or Cody Bellinger off the waiver wire and they become a league winner for you? What about Jordan Walker or Mitch Keller when you frustrated with them most of the season, you drop them, and then Jordan Walker goes on a tear at the end of the season. Mitch Keller all of a sudden rights the ship and looks good. Or how about this? Maybe you picked up somebody like Fernando Romero or Jason Jennings, and you pick them up for a week just because you want to start them, and they give you like -21, and they completely blow up your ratios, or they lose you a head-to-head matchup. I want you guys to
Are you
give me...
Are you not going to mention Brian Bayo?
Brian, I didn't think about that, Brian, but you didn't lose because of it, though.
Oh my gosh, Brian Bayo might be missing if I did. That is sure.
Do you guys remember Fernando Romero? I was proud of that poll. You guys don't remember Fernando Romero?
Vaguely.
Eric, do you remember we lived with Nina, and it was when he pitched for the Twins and he gave up like -28 against the Royals?
I kind of do remember that now.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd throw that one in there. If there was a
remember Vin Mazzaro when he gave up like 11 earned runs in 1 inning?
Did he pitch for the?
He pitched for the Royals.
It was for the Royals.
It was like 1 inning, 1 inning, 1.2, 10 or 11 earned runs against the Rockies.
Yeah. So like, if any of you guys picked up somebody for one start and they completely had an outing like that where you almost feel like you could never recover from.
Who
you guys have one of those?
Reds? Who was the guy for the Reds this year that gave up like 10 earned in the first and they kept him in like 2 more innings and it was just brutal?
I don't remember who it was, but I don't think anybody was starting him.
No, but just
Graham Ashcraft kind of did that.
Did he?
Yeah. But I think you're thinking of
was it Ben Lively?
Ben Lively. No, it wasn't Ben Lively. I don't think it was Ben Lively.
Well, why don't you check on that, Doc? But in the meantime, a significant ad that helped win your league, a significant drop that you're pulling your hair out over, or again, somebody that maybe you picked up to stream and they were the reason you lost a week, or you feel like you never recovered ratio wise that you wish you could have back. Let's start with Marty Party of this one.
Yeah, so for me, especially at some point in the middle of the season, it was hard to get starting pitching. So luckily I was able to put enough money on Bobby Miller to pick him up, and he was solid. From the Dodgers, he got you 106 Ks in those 113 innings, 3.94 ERA, which isn't amazing, but you'll take it considering he's probably like your fourth, fifth starter. Got me 10 wins. That's probably the biggest one of just picking up somebody like right off the waiver wire. But for the most part, I stuck to my teams throughout the course. There wasn't really too many. I didn't have any of those drops that absolutely devastated me. So that's good there.
That is good. Even if you don't have like the crazy ad, as long as you don't have a drop that you regret, that's definitely a good sign there. What about you, Doc?
One of my best ads was Matt McLean, getting him, especially in a roto league too. It's unfortunate because he had a strained oblique and re-aggravated that oblique strain today. So obviously, hurt him a little bit. Yuri Perez, if you picked him up at the beginning of the season, great ratios, didn't seem like the same pitcher once they recalled him the second time. Wonder if just because the amount of innings that he had thrown. Same with Marty. I don't think there was anyone that I dropped. And in fantasy baseball in general this year, you guys can correct me if you can think of anyone. I don't think there's anyone that had a super slow start. You dropped and then they picked up.
Marcell Ozuna did that to me.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He crushed because he was so bad. I got one ad that someone regrets. They dropped Gunnar Henderson, and Gunnar really picked it up. I got him in one league. I spent $94 on him in TGFBI. He's one of my big ads of the year. I also was able to get a $3 Lane Thomas after he was dropped, which was a nice ad. My burst drops, I dropped Ozuna in 2 leagues, and he has like 33 home runs right now after hitting like 078 in through May. And probably one of them that really hurts is I spent my biggest spend ad of the year. I spent $291 to pick up Royce Lewis, and he got injured. I only got he hit 371 for me with 2 home runs, 8 runs, and 9 RBIs. Then he was out for like 6 weeks, so I dropped him. And he came back and was great. So that was tough because I spent nearly $300 on him. So that was a tough ad right there.
I remember I spent $211 fab dollars on Mason Miller. That was a big one everybody was talking about him when he was debuting and saying he was going to be the pickup of the year, and the A's would let him go because they needed innings, and that was brutal.
Spencer Steer is a great ad.
Which one?
Spencer Steer. I don't know if any of you guys got him, but
I didn't get him in any leagues, but he was a great ad. Matt Mervis, the hype for Matt Mervis coming out of the Arizona Fall League last year, to have him be a complete dud. Just the amount of how bad he was, the little he was up in the big leagues this year. Did any of you guys at any point in a daily lineup league or in any of your weekly lineup leagues have Christopher Sanchez and then drop him? Because in our home league, I actually picked him up after someone dropped him, and then he was huge for me down the stretch.
I have him on a few of my roto teams. He was great. I went through and looked at all my ads and drops for the year. I even got one of my leagues. I got Kyle Bradish as a pickup.
That's fantastic.
He was amazing down the stretch. So if you look through, I got Jose Barrios pretty early in the season. Really, like, Brian Wu was a big pickup. $14 Brian Wu. Love that one. But Christopher Sanchez was a nice one. That Phillies pitching staff is looking good going into the playoffs.
And he's had 10 strikeouts in 2 of the last 3 games. So he might be somebody that starts gaining helium. He'll be in an episode that we'll do some point in the offseason where we talk about some of the biggest risers, him, like Michael King, Cole Reagans, Ryan Pepio, a bunch of guys that finished the year incredibly strong that are going to be really tough to rank, and interesting to see where they're ranked in the industry going into the year. So he'll be included in that group as well.
Okay, I found the Reds pitcher that blew up, and it was Ben Lively. So this is his line.
You doubted me, Doc. I remembered that it was him.
Okay. 4 innings, 13 hits, 13 earned runs. That's crazy. I've never seen somebody allow 13 earned runs before.
It's hard to say you couldn't do better than a big leaguer, or that you could do worse. I feel like that's
He had 4 strikeouts, which is crazy that you would strike out that many batters and then give up 13 earned runs.
Ben Lively was deadly that day.
Yes, he was.
He-
Miguel
that's
Duran was a great
negative
pickup too.
negative 33.
As
The fact
Many
that
shots out here.
he allowed 7 earned in the first 2, 10 earned in the first 3, and they're like, yeah, fine, we're just going to keep you out there.
Yeah, I think their bullpen was taxed. So at that point, they knew they were going to lose. They just let him go.
Yeah, they
But
let
yeah,
him throw 94 pitches.
what about Erod? I feel like Erod in 15-team leagues he was drafted, but I feel like a lot of 12-team leagues he wasn't. And he was one of the first pickups of the season after his first outing. And then you had him pretty much the whole season.
I think he was.
I was
drafted
fully
in
out
the-
on him after last year. He burned me
I was too.
Yeah.
And then I got him on the waiver wire right after his first start. And then
I gave
had
him the
over-
Marcus Stroman, nose up. I didn't draft either of those guys who I was big on last year, and didn't work out this year.
He'll be a tough one to rank for next season as well. But that'll be fun to start looking into off-season content, 2024 talk, all after this episode. But let's move to our next section, the season takeaways. So in a season where we saw Ronald Acuna go 40-70, or I guess he hasn't quite gone there yet, but that's where he's headed. The NL Cy Young, I hate reading this and not it being Spencer Strider. The NL Cy Young is going to lead baseball in walks. The Yankees and Mets both didn't make the playoffs. A lot of crazy things happened this season, to say the least. So what are you taking away from this fantasy baseball season with you when you draft? And I would say next year, but realistically, we're all probably going to be having our first draft within the next month or two, I would think. So let's start with you, Doc. What are you doing, taking away from this season to take you to draft prep for next year?
Yeah, so something I'm going to look at for betting is just the health. And David, from the majority of bets, I do unders, and the majority have hit this year. So looking at players' health, of who's going to be maybe playing part-time, who's going to be platooning. And I think from a fantasy baseball perspective is that pushing pitching down, but really attacking it in the middle rounds. I mean, nobody returned more value than Ronald Acuna. And when we did our Arizona Fall League draft, he was the 4th pick. And just the amount of injuries we've seen with pitchers this year, David, you talked about how many first and second round arms have been busts, and just how much more of an offensive game it is. The base paths are bigger. Pitchers can throw over there twice. The pitch clock, they're not allowed to use substance to kind of grip the ball. So for me, I'll probably be hitting early, and then getting a lot of pitchers that I think can have a little bit more durability in the later rounds, and probably attacking it in really late rounds too.
I'm just going to read this really quick. These are the pitchers that were drafted in the first few rounds of most leagues. Corbin Burns. I'm going to read I'll read all the names. Corbin Burns, Garrett Cole. So I would say Garrett Cole is fine. Corbin Burns, not where you were expecting from him. Max Scherzer, bust. Aaron Nola, bust. Sandy Alcantara, bust. Justin Verlander, bust. Jacob deGrom, bust. Shane McClanahan wasn't a bust, but he got hurt, so he ended up being a bust. Shane Bieber, bust.
You're reading our home league draft.
Yeah, Spencer Strider, solid. Brandon Woodruff missed half the year. I would say the second half he was okay. I don't know if he'd be worth a round 3 pick. Kevin Gausman, okay. Zach Wheeler was a bust the first half of the year, and then he turned it around. Castillo was good. Alek Manoah, bust. Dylan Cease, bust. I mean, like, the amount of pitching that was drafted in the beginning rounds that were just bad. Christian Javier, bust. Like, it's crazy to me.
I wouldn't say Verlander though, because he went 157 innings, 3.32 ERA, 139 Ks.
But I feel like in most drafts he was being drafted in as a top 2-3 round pick.
Potentially. Maybe. I mean, he should be I don't think anyone he should not have been anybody's ace or like number 1. If he was your number 2, I think he did pretty well with your pitching there. But can't call him a bust. I won't call him that.
Okay, maybe not a bust, but not worth the capital you spent on him.
Yeah, he definitely he underplayed that for sure.
I mean, look at some of the pitchers that did really well this year that were drafted in later rounds. George Kirby, Logan Webb outseeded his ADP, Framber Valdez, Mitch Keller, Chris Bassett had a pretty good year. Jordan Montgomery. There's a couple more I have on the list here. Hold on one second.
I mean, there were
Blake Snell, Zach Eflin, Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez had a great year. Justin Steele, Kodai Senga, Freddie Peralta, Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, but again, in that same range, you also have you have Nestor Cortez, Nick Lodolo, Carlos Rodon, Lucas Giolito, Lance Lynn, Hunter Green. Like there are the amount of starting pitchers that were drafted early on that, I mean, Tristan McKenzie never even fully got healthy this year. I mean, I would say there was more pitchers that ended up being not worth where you drafted them than actually that delivered. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
So I think that's going to be the theme for drafting next season is it's going to be hitter filled. I would not be shocked to see Strider and Cole being the only two pitchers that go in the first 2 rounds in most drafts next year. And that everybody starts taking elite hitting and then they just push pitching down because it's so volatile between injuries and between guys that, like the Justin Steeles of the world, the guys that kind of come up out of nowhere that you can look at the end of last season and be like, you know what? I'm okay. My ace being, Framber Valdez in the 5th round and just building pitching later, but I can leave the beginning of my draft with Bobby Witt and then Freddie Freeman and then, taking like a rap, or maybe you wouldn't get Devers in the 3rd, but taking like Francisco Lindor or Ozzy Albies or something like that. People are going to want to go that route. And I think that's going to be what we're talking about all off season is, do you zig when everybody zags and do you try to go back to taking pitching earlier and just stacking elite pitching, or do you go with the flow and just try to find those pitching targets later and just don't miss out on those first few rounds of hitters that look like they set themselves above everybody else? So that will definitely be something we'll talk about as the offseason goes along here. Also wanted to shout out our guy Jasper, who's working hard, but he's checking in with us. We always appreciate Jasper hanging out with us, especially on our last regular season show. Let's close out the show here.
I have my takeaway, David.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was not asked. Okay. No.
Takeaway.
Home runs are up this year. As of today, and there's still, almost a week left, they're up 462 more home runs this year. So there's more power in different places, which that could all change if they change the ball. So we don't know, and we're seeing that rise in stolen bases. There's a lot of 2020 guys. So I think that'll be big. You don't have to worry about, I think last year we were worried about power, and then this year they gave a little bit more power back with the new ball.
462, and we have 5 days left. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Is this the first year that we haven't talked about the ball? I feel like I have not heard anybody talk about the ball like, oh, it's deadened, or it's a happy fun ball where there's a bunch. I feel like it hasn't been talked about at all this year.
Yeah, the players, relative to the last few years, they've been pretty quiet.
Yeah, I like that. What about you, Elsie? What's your takeaway?
My takeaway is I'm pushing down closers. Closers were pretty consistent, and if you drafted the 10th closer or the 12th closer, you did just as well as if you went high with closers. So I think my takeaway is that I'm going to wait on closers this year a little bit. You cannot wait forever, but I'm going to wait on closers a little bit and attack starting pitching and hitting in the first 7-8 rounds and not try to get a 3rd or 4th round closer.
I think that's fair. Definitely. I feel like a lot of the high-end closers did not work out this year, and it's not worth spending that type of capital, at least at what we saw this year.
Trevor May had 20 saves. 20 saves for Trevor May, baby.
Trevor May is your guy, Marty.
20
no
saves.
Doubt.
That's crazy on the Athletics. That's nuts.
That's true. And his ERA was like under 2.
Yeah, he's been really good.
Yeah.
So I was looking this up really quick before we transition to the last part of the show really fast. How many Atlanta Braves do you think had 100 RBIs or are going to have 100 RBIs this year?
Off the top of my head, I say 6.
6?
4 is
Go
my
5.
The answer is going to be 5.
Damn
Wow.
Assuming Azuna can get 10 more RBIs, which maybe
Acuna.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah,
a
that
lot.
is a lot. So Acuna, Olsen, Riley, and
Riley, Acuna, Olsen,
Albies.
Riley, and Albies are going to have 100
Albies.
RBIs guaranteed at this point.
I'm interested to see where Matt Olson goes next year because I got him in the 5th round in Glarf, and I think he'll probably be gone in the 3rd,
Second.
2nd.
I
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
crazy.
281 batting average, 53 home runs, 133 RBIs. He has 18 more RBIs than second place.
He's
Wow.
the new Pete Alonso.
It's why take Pete Alonso when you can take Matt Olson 2 rounds later? Why take Matt Olson when you can take Pete Alonso 2 rounds
Exactly.
later? And Vinny adds trust rookies more next season, which I
That's
think
that's good advice. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll trust the rookies that he trusts.
Yeah.
I don't
Listen
trust
to
the rookies I
listen to, the
trust.
call up because they'll be talking about
we
AFL
go.
guys, I think, this in their next episode, and I'm sure I'll be talking about rookies for next season.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Yeah, I don't think none of us are making it out this year, right?
This is the only year I plan on missing it, and I have my sister-in-law's wedding. Other than that, I don't want to. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to miss another one.
I'm trying to go next year for sure.
I'm trying to go next year as well.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
As soon as they put the tickets out, let's buy them so that way we can't say
Let's
no.
do it. Let's do it.
All right, and we got
Sounds like
I
we
still
get
have the
special
Triple
invite.
Playhouse saved on my phone, the location. So we'll head back there and make things happen. Maybe we should throw a
I'll
party
say
there next
Bad
year.
time to tell you that I didn't do any of the chores that I even though I was the last guy. Just
You didn't do what?
remember that we had that list of chores we had to do?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. 20 minutes. I was like, yeah, I'll just do it. Dude, they jammed me up, man. I was doing laundry. I don't know what I'm
Oh man, that was fun last year. We're gonna all have huge FOMO this year with it, but we'll definitely be back there
I
next
already
year.
feel it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, can you imagine when all the pictures are starting to come out?
No, it's gonna piss me off. And they're talking about how they're gonna do their drafts. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm really blown too. No barbecue with Frank Stample. No golf outings with Joe Arico and Bubba and Bloom, and no sitting in pitching panels with Pollock and Eno Saris and
no AFL home run derby where there's little kids when there's a righty up to
Yeah.
left field. Stampede.
that's a
it
good
was
time.
fantastic. I do feel like we were the ones that went out there first, and then everybody
Oh,
else was
yeah.
watching it. They were watching it on the other side, and then when they saw we were over there,
Everyone else was playing it real cool, not
yeah,
us.
and they
Nah.
were like, "No, like forget this. Like let's try to catch a ball.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna sell this thing. If I catch one from Gunnar or from Keston Kerstad, like I'm gonna sell this thing. Like why not?" But
Jason Dominguez, he didn't do that. He didn't do the home run derby, right? I
wasn't
know we
it,
saw
no.
him play, but
It was the only ones I remember were Julian
Mervis.
and Kerstad.
Didn't Mervis do it?
wait, Eduardo
and
Julian
Mervis.
went?
Julian was in it too. He literally hit them all opposite field.
Oh, it was that guy.
I do
Okay.
remember
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, so those were the only 3 I remember. Elsie, I want to get to your game, but I feel like we're not going to be able to get it in by the time I have to go and bottle feed.
Maybe. I mean,
Can we get it in like less than 10 minutes?
I think so. I think
Okay. All right. All right.
That's our,
let's
that's
run
our
through this
specialty.
thing.
Less than 10.
so. That's what she said. So the game is real simple. Close down your Rasball player raters.
Oh, damn it.
Dang, I
So
had mine open.
it's a quiz. We're gonna go 3 rounds. Each of you is gonna pick a position, and it's just name players until you don't name someone who's in the top 15 of their position. And whoever is the last one in each position gets the point. I think we can get that in 10 minutes. You think?
Okay, let's do it.
David,
Do I get permission to write them down as we name them or no?
if as we name them, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, you're not allowed to look at Rasball. So
Okay.
David, the new dad, you pick the first position: outfield, first base, second base, shortstop, third base, catcher, starter, and reliever. Which position would you like to start with?
Starting pitcher.
Okay, so we're gonna go. I have the top 25 starters. Should we do 25 or should we do 15?
Let's do 15.
Top 15 starters. All right, name one of the top 15 starters.
What's the order here?
You start.
You, Marty, and then Doc.
Okay. Spencer Strider.
Marty,
Blake Snell.
Doc,
Garrett Cole.
David,
Luis Castillo.
Marty,
Zach Eflin.
Doc.
Zach Gallen.
You guys have that's the top 6.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
David,
Justin Steele.
Marty,
Corbin Burns.
Doc,
Kevin Gosman.
David,
Um. Oh. Oh my God! I just literally had his name on the tip of my tongue.
We're gonna be here longer than 10 minutes.
Sonny Gray.
you're out.
He's not on it.
He's not top 15.
Wow. Okay.
Marty,
Logan Gilbert.
Doc,
Zach Wheeler.
Marty,
Framber Valdez.
Doc.
I got one. If you don't get it, Eric.
Marty's gonna get the
I
point.
thought. How many do we have left? We have 2, right? Or do we have 1?
No, 3 left.
3 left.
No, 2. Yeah, 2.
I have 2, and I'm gonna be mad if
3.
it's not.
3 left. Sorry.
I'm gonna be mad if it's not the one I think.
I know one for sure.
George Kirby.
Sorry.
Was it
Is-
Freddie
is-
Peralta?
Freddie Peralta's 15.
Is Logan Webb on there?
Someone said Logan Webb.
Oh, did
Clayton
they?
No,
Kershaw.
Logan Webb's 16. Clayton Kershaw's on there. Pablo Lopez was missed.
Kershaw was 15, top 15.
Kershaw's 12th.
Wow.
Pablo Lopez is 11th. No one said
That's
Pablo
a quiet
Lopez.
top 15 season from Clayton Kershaw.
Yes.
no
I,
one.
I literally thought of it. I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, was
He's been
Freddie
good.
Peralta on there?
he's 15th.
Oh
Who did we forget then?
Pablo Lopez, Clayton Kershaw, and Freddie Peralta.
Okay. Okay.
Marty, pick a position.
Let's go catcher.
Catcher, top 15 catchers, Marty.
Will Smith.
Doc,
Jonah Heim.
David,
I want to say this guy. But I don't think he played enough games. But I want to just go from left field. Did Mitch Garver?
15th.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Marty.
It's like getting the Family Feud answer that only had one person who did.
Yeah.
That was Adley.
Doc,
Rutschman.
That's who I was gonna take. Does Dalton Varsho have catcher eligibility, or do they put him as outfield?
he does have catcher eligibility, and he is in the top 15. David,
The what's his name? The big Seattle's catcher. The big thump. What's his nickname?
Big
Cal
thumper.
Raleigh.
big dumper.
Big Dumper. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on there. Marty,
William Contreras.
boom, number 1.
Yeah.
Doc,
Gabriel Moreno.
you're out.
Ah!
David,
Francisco Alvarez.
you're out as well. Marty, did you picked first?
Marty picked
Marty
first.
picked first.
So Marty has the points.
I
Marty,
would say, was the other Contreras brother in there?
yes. You guys also missed JT Real Muto,
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
for some
Jeez.
reason, I thought he was said.
Jeez.
Sean Murphy, Sal Perez, Yanier Diaz, Elias Diaz, Keibert
Wow.
Luis, and
Elias
MJ
Diaz.
Melendez.
Wow.
I actually
Wow.
I thought of MJ Melendez. Didn't think he was going to be in there, and I thought of Wilson Contreras, but I was like, I don't think he had that good a year.
He did-
Yeah.
well, he was 7th, and if you look at dollar value, only 12 catchers were above positive value. So,
Okay.
I'm mad at myself. That was awful.
so Marty has the win, but we have one more category and a few minutes before David has to go. So, Doc, you want to pick one more category?
yeah, let's do outfield.
All right, I have 20 outfielders. You want to do 15 or 20?
Let's do 15.
15. Top 15
Yeah.
outfielders. Doc, you start.
Mookie Betts.
David,
Ronald Acuna.
Marty,
Juan Soto.
Doc,
Aaron Judge.
Oh,
no.
Ah,
Doc, how are you not going to say your boy Nick Castellanos?
I thought about it.
Marty,
Christian Yelich. As
David.
mentioned.
Oh man.
Missing some big ones, guys.
Adolis Garcia.
Yep. Marty,
Julio Rodriguez.
Oh my god.
David,
Yeah, that's definitely a.
I'm normally good at these games too.
Is
so
Bryce
mad at
Harper
myself.
qualify as outfield or no?
is that your guess?
No.
um,
Marcelo Zuna.
17th.
Oh,
Marty, you got to get this for the win. You could sweep it.
Who is Corbin Carroll?
Yes.
Oh.
jeez.
You guys also missed Kyle Tucker, Cody
Oh,
Bellinger,
this is embarrassing.
Luis Robert, Lane
Nobody
Thomas,
listened to me and David for fantasy
Fernando
baseball, but-
Tatis, Kyle
Oh,
Schwarber,
Tatis.
and Randy Arozarena.
I'm just horrible at these.
This is what happens when you do a football pod before.
And I
literally-
spent 2-3 hours today going through the player rater, as you could tell.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, 'cause
all
that,
right.
I was
Oh,
looking-
it's just like you knew what the quiz was before the quiz.
This was going to be last week's quiz. It's just been updated for this week.
and this is the first time I've looked at the player rater all year.
So Marty did the clean sweep. So I guess your studying worked out.
Yep,
Marty won the game.
Marty, you said you were working all day.
I was in between. We got a double dip.
Geez, well, this was a fun way to end the regular season. Just an announcement for all our listeners, viewers, however you guys watch the content or listen to the content. We've been doing this show every single week since 2020, I believe. It's been about a little over 3 years that we've been doing this show every week. We have not missed a week, even if it's just been to throw an interview with an athlete in here. This will be the first time that we will be taking some breaks in the off season. We're all a little bit burnt out. Doing 3 years of shows and not missing a week is very taxing. So we will be with you guys throughout the off season, whether that is bi-weekly or once or twice a month. We're not sure yet, but we will be getting you guys episodes throughout the off season. We can promise you that. And it's going to be really fun content. And it's going to be stuff that we're going to make sure is going to be useful for you to listen to, but also going to be very enjoyable. So make sure you guys stick with us all off season. We will be giving you guys content various times throughout. And if you guys have ideas for things you would like to hear, please make sure to reach out to one of us and we will make sure that we can get some fun content out ideas for you guys. But for Marty Party, for Doc, for Little Cheesecake, I'm D Mendy. We're going to make like a bread truck and we're going to haul these buns. Talk to you guys in a couple weeks.